Welcome to the Prep Insta second video for command line programming. If you may have any questions or anything, please do comment in the video. I'll take them up in the comment section and I'll reply to you for whatever questions that you might have. And also, if you've not gone through the first video, I'll suggest you to go through the first video of this command line programming series, which covers the basic of the command line programming, right? I'll exclude that. I hope that you've already gone through the video, and I'll not explain you the basic things, and I'll just go ahead with the program for once and for all. So the second program in the series that we have is to calculate the factorial of a number using command line programming. If you'd be using a normal program for calculating the factorial of the number, it will not work in TCS compiler because they expect you to know command line programming, and their compiler is based upon command line programming, right? So there are two codes, one which takes into account if you've entered any input, and it asks you to enter the input if you haven't already. And the second program is very basic. I don't suggest you to go through this program because I'm not sure how this would work in TCS compiler, because this is just a very standard program for calculating the factorial of the number, and this is more detailed program. So what I've done already, I've copy pasted the whole program here, and I've already compiled that for a couple of values, and it is giving the right answer. In here it gives the value for 4 factorial and 5 factorial. And I've also removed the comment section because I'll be explaining that to you, and I don't want to jitter the screen with a lot of unnecessary comments and everything, right? So let's just go ahead with the program. There's include studio and include stdlib. Someone mentioned in the last video that stdlib has to be there, because if you have not entered that, your code will not work in TCS compiler, because we are also using a toy which is in stdlib library for C, right? So make sure that you use both studio.h and stdlib.h, right? So I'll just go ahead with the main program. Obviously, the main program is the first program that executes in any compiler, and it has two values, argc and argv, which I've already mentioned in the last video. This is basically the count of the number of command line program arguments that you have, and argv is the array of all those values. So for example, if you want to calculate the factorial of 4 and 5, that I've done already here, right? So argc would be 3, not 2, because at a0 position we also have a default value. A1 would be 4, if a2 would be 5, and this would contain the the array that is default value 4 and 5, right? Assuming this code is for, if you've entered any value, if there's only default argument and you've not entered any value in the program, then it'll ask you to provide the value first and just return to 0. The program is executed here, right? So assuming that you've put in some values, I'll compile the code again, and I'll show you how you'll be putting the values in the program. So don't worry, I'm covering up everything in the video that is necessary, right? So assuming not for any complication that you've only entered one value of one value in the command line argument, that is, you want to only calculate the factorial of one number. Let us assume that the number is 4. Okay, so when the program runs, it goes to the else loop, because the value of argc is 2 since you've entered 4. So it comes up here. Now we've initialized 3 arguments, that is I is for iteration of the loop. Here the value of I would be 2, because here the value of I initialized is 1, and argc the argc value would be 2. So this loop will run only one time, since we are only asking the code to calculate the factorial of one number, that is 4. If we want it to calculate the factorial of two number, that is 4 and 5, that I've done already here, this for loop will execute twice, right? So assuming that only one, because I don't want to complicate things, we have to calculate the factorial of the number 4, right? So the value of I here is 1, value of argc is 2. The code will only run once, right? And n is the value to store the command line argument value. Now atoy, as I told you earlier, since argv of I returns the value in a character form, atoy must be used to change the value into an integer type, right? So it will like give you four, and it turns atoy turns into a static value 4 or static integer value 4. So the value of n is 4. Now, it is based upon the factorial program that runs on recursion. If you don't know about recursion, I'll suggest you to go ahead and study recursion first, because that will be more easier for you to understand the code. Now, what factorial does, it feeds upon the value. So let's say factorial of 4 is here, right? So what it'll do, since we've already written a function of factorial here, it will just go here, right? And the value passed down here is 4, right? I'm just writing it. I'll just remove it for the code to run properly later on. Okay, so since n is not equal to 4, return 1 will not happen. It will just go to the next loop. And we are initializing the value of ans. Also note that the value of ans, that is short for answer, is 1. That is local. It does not affect any value here. It's the local value that we have in this loop, and I'll explain you why. So also same for this, integer I value is a local value. Now we are running the loop again. For I equal to 1, I is less than equal to 4, I plus plus. So this loop will execute because all these conditions are satisfied, right? So answer is equals to answer value we don't know yet. Answer value is initialized to 1. So answer is equals to 1 into 1, that is 1. Okay, now it is returning the answer, right? So it is not returning the answer. I like to correct myself because it does not, the for loop is not yet completed. Now the value of I in the second time will be 2, right? So answer value, which is currently 1, is equals to 1, that is previous answer value, into 2. So this answer value now gets updated to 1 into 2, that is 2, right? Now the for loop executes, starts again. Now the value of I is 3, right? Now what happens? Answer value currently is 2 from the last loop. So 2 into I value currently is 3 becomes 6. So answer value in this loop is 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I just ran too far. Yeah. So answer value gets updated to 6. Now the value of I is less than equal to 4. So now for the new value of I, the loop will execute for the last time, because the next time the value will become 5 and this condition will not satisfy, right? So the answer value, which currently is 6, now becomes 6 into 4 is 24. That is 6 into 4, that is 24. Now it does not execute this loop. It returns the value of the answer, that is 24 here, and it just goes directly here. Now the value of answer here, because factorial n is returning 24, also becomes 24. So it will just printf percentage d the value. Obviously we use percentage d to print out the values of an integer and the value of ans, which is 24. Now also let me tell you one thing, that the reason why that we've used 0 in case if this loop returns to 0, because as we know that in mathematics or quants, the factorial of both 0 and factorial of both 1 is 1, right? So we've just made sure that this does not happen and it is not getting multiplied with 0. Instead it is getting multiplied with 1. So I'll just copy this code. I'll try to run it for you. I've already done that. Let me refresh the page once again, because this has already some inputs in the question. And here, so this is how it will look. Now if we were to calculate let's say we've given only one argument that we want to calculate for 4. What is the factorial for 4? Now the answer that it will give us ideally should be 24. Yes, it gives 24. However, let's assume that if we were to return, this code is universal, by the way. This code will work even if you give multiple values, because um, here we've made that this way that even if we enter multiple command line argument, let's say 4, 5 and 6, it'll return us with a helping for loop the values of factorial for all those numbers, right? So it'll give us 24, 120 and 720 ideally. Exactly. So I guess this program works perfectly. If you're not able to understand this program, I'll suggest you to go through the factorial videos, some of the factorial videos that will give you the idea how to implement factorial. The only thing that changes in command line programming is ATOI, ARGC and ARGV. You should know how to handle these, and also this condition if you've entered any argument or not, and this condition if you've entered any argument. So this is the second video explanation for command line argument. I'll suggest you to write down feedback in comments if you have any questions, if you'd like me to improve upon any parts in the video, or if you would have any random question about command line programming. I would be really happy to help. And along with that, please do like the video and subscribe to our channel on Prep Insta. There are a lot of fun videos and entertaining videos for geeks coming up on our channel.